How you doing, Socrates?
I'm good. I'm good. Yeah, I just wanted to continue on with the debate we were having before,
So, what
but
was the initial debate?
it was about government subsidies for hiring minorities.
Government subsidies for hiring minorities. Okay.
Yeah. Before we begin, would it be okay if Anarchoniosis recorded this?
Recorded? Sure. Yeah, I mean, they can record all they want.
Okay, excellent. Me and him might be doing a collab thing later, and
Okay. Sure.
yeah. Okay, so I believe when we were talking before, it came down like you were asking me if I was for the civil rights movement, and that's not exclusionary. And I just wanted to ask you if giving government subsidies for hiring minorities is exclusionary.
No, I do not believe that a government subsidy for inclusion of minorities would be exclusionary. No, it's actually the exact opposite. It is inclusionary.
But doesn't it exclude the non-minorities?
Well, in some cases, you might have a point. The problem with your point is that that is not observable within objective reality. So, in reality, what we observe is that white people, or effectively the majority in the United States, don't actually have a problem getting a job, even with diversity, inclusion, hiring.
But does that law itself exclude non-minorities though?
Does that exclude? No, because white people can still get a job.
But the government is not going to give subsidies for the non-minorities, right?
Well, I don't know exactly what subsidy you're referring to. I'm not against encouragement of people being able to hire minorities and creating encouragement to do so in what you would refer to as a subsidy.
Yeah, because I mean, and I know you might say that we don't observe this in objective reality, but when I go to a Tim Hortons in my city, it used to be, my city is about 79% white.
Okay.
It used to be, on average, you'd see about 70-80% of the people that were working there were white. But
Okay.
now, it's like you hardly even see a white person at Tim Hortons
What town is
or
this?
Walmart.
What town is you're
Uh,
saying people who work there?
yeah,
All right. What state is this?
in Saskatchewan, Canada.
All right. Hold on.
I mean, the only thing I could actually do to try to prove this is to go with a cell phone and record.
Well, what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull up what the current uh, labor market measures would be in Saskatchewan would be.
Sure.
Uh, Let me take a look here. I mean, have you looked at the statistics for this?
I tried to find them. It's a really hard thing. I'm not good at that type of stuff, so it was really hard for me to find. I couldn't find anything.
Okay. Uh, so I'm pulling up the statistics on how that there appears to be income inequality, which would not surprise me. That generally can be the case if you're born in a poor area. That would make sense. But I guess like the question is like, do you think that there's like a stunning amount of people who are unemployed and white as opposed to like what the general demographic is? Or do you think that that would be skewed in the way of black people? Or do you think that it's more roughly equal? Because every time that I have seen this, right, that they apply rules like this is normally when they've noticed that there's more black people or minorities not being hired, and so they basically put in these diversity quotas, which then result in black people and minorities getting hired, but white people don't necessarily lose out. They end up just finding other jobs. So, like, I mean, if you want, we can see if we can pull up specific statistics on like people who are white unemployment and then minority unemployment rates in Saskatchewan. Does that make sense?
Sure, but I think the more accurate statistic would be showing the actual employment rate.
So if I gave you the unemployment rate, you can actually take the number 100 and minus by the number, and then you would get that number.
But I mean, as I said, like if you go to a Tim Hortons or a Walmart or stuff, you hardly see any.
I
white
get that
employees
that's your
working there anymore.
like your personal vicinity, right? But I'm not concerned about like what you see within your personal vicinity. I'm considering what is happening in all of Saskatchewan.
Sure.
So let me take a look real quick. Let's take a look here. So Saskatchewan. What province is that in? My geography is terrible. You'll have to forgive me.
Canada.
I'm American. I know it's Canada. What province? What the fuck?
Saskatchewan is the province.
Oh, okay. All right, my fault. Yeah, I'm like pulling up Atlantic region? Prairie region? Which one?
It'd be Prairie region.
Is it I didn't know.
Yeah, that's it. Like, why can't they just do it for Saskatchewan? Weird.
All right, hold on. All right, so, all right, we're gonna pull up the February 2024 numbers, and let's take a look here. Employment rate for black people is at 70.5, and what is it for white people? Is at 60. Well, oh, that's the not a visible minority. Where's the white people? White unemployment rate. I'm sorry.
No problem, dude. I had a lot of trouble trying to get this information too.
Yeah.
But I'm not very good
Okay.
at doing that kind of stuff. So
Okay, so for white, this is just the total unemployment rate. The total unemployment rate, by the way, is actually quite healthy.
yeah, Saskatchewan's actually
5.5%.
too bad.
They're doing great, actually. That's only 0.5 above what you would want, like ideally in society.
Yeah, there's lots of things happening in Saskatchewan right now. So it's because like, well, it's like the butthole of Canada. So everything's super cheap here. So all the businesses are trying to get the business here because it's cheap to have a business here, and you don't have to pay. Yeah.
Well, I mean, considering that the average, right? The average that I'm seeing here for is 5%, and the current employment rate among blacks is 70.5%. Wouldn't that indicate that 30% or 29.5% are not working? Which would be higher than the national average?
There's not very many black people at all, and another factor would be, are they applying for the
No,
jobs?
that's why I'm using percentages. I'm aware how capita works. I'm using percentages, right? I understand that there's not as many black people.
Okay, but another factor would be like, do we know that they're applying for jobs, right?
Sure. But then now it comes into a question as to like how does the society end up in that direction, right? I know why in the United States. I'm not necessarily sure in Canada, but the argument that you are making is that, well, all these black people are getting hired and the white people, well, they're just missing out. But I'm sitting here and I'm pulling up relevant statistics, and I'll go ahead and link it in side chat. I am pulling up relevant statistics here where you can observe that it is in fact the case that that generally speaking, black people would have more unemployment than the national average.
But if you're not able to show like that they're all applying for jobs and just not getting them, then that stat is irrelevant.
That's a different discussion. Your
No,
argument,
that is
was to say that white people are losing out on a job, but the metrics and the statistics don't show that. What happens is when a white person loses a job to a black person, they find another job. That's what happens. So I'm lost as to what your argument is.
Well, the debate is about government subsidies for hiring minorities.
Correct.
And
why do you think we would do that?
Exclude the non-minorities.
But here's the thing, right? That's the problem. I don't think it is exclusion of the minority. I think what you have here is that you have an inclusion of the minority. You are deliberately including them into society. You are forcing inclusion.
Was there anything excluding them by law before?
I mean, there might be. I mean, I know in the United States,
No.
I mean, they just have a long history of like redlining laws and the fact that like the redlining laws caused them to be stuck in zones that had poor education, which then resulted in them not being as educated, which resulted in them getting worse jobs and being more unemployed. I mean, that would logically follow.
By law?
Yeah, that was by law, and it was only until I think
Wild.
through the Civil Rights Act that it was repealed. But that doesn't mean that those black people suddenly moved as soon as that it got repealed, and also doesn't mean that the banks all of a sudden stopped discrimination. In fact, I think it was Jovan Bradley who pointed out that there were some banks that were still discovered who did this in Virginia. Doesn't surprise me, it's Virginia, but.
Yeah, as far as I know,
Doesn't
Canada
surprise me.
never had any law that was saying, like, we're going to try to exclude these people.
Well, so here's the thing, right? You didn't actually need a law excluding specific people, right? What happens is that people just generally adopt a prejudice. And what happens is you can actually just create laws that appear to be like that they appear to be, relatively fair, but they are specifically targeted towards minorities.
Well, I mean, there's racist people, yes.
Well, no. I'm saying it doesn't require a single racist actor. It doesn't even require that. The point is that it could lead to a racist outcome. And so if the racist outcome causes people to not get a job or to not value getting a job more, those are the things that I would want to tackle, not like the thing that's basically offering a Band-Aid to society to an already exacerbatingly large problem. Especially because I'm pulling up this statistic. It shows 70% are employed. 30% are not. That's way higher than the national average.
I mean, I can tell you right now, I had a really hard time getting a job. And it was not like that before. And my neighbor who lost his job, also a white male, had a really hard time getting a job as well. And I mean, the only thing I could really do is go and get a video for you going around a Tim Hortons or a Walmart or some of these businesses and showing you the employees that work there.
So it's just what is it? Just nothing, just a sea of black people working there.
It's not just black people, man. A lot of Filipinos, Hindus, like.
Why is it a bad thing that Filipinos and Hindus are working there?
I'm not saying that's the bad thing. I'm saying the bad thing is when it excludes the non-minorities.
You're not excluded. I got news for you. You are. Get it out of your head. You're not excluded. The numbers don't show that.
Does the law?
But the numbers as of February of 2024
subsidies,
don't show that. Do you understand that?
Does the law of giving government subsidies for hiring minorities exclude non-minorities?
No, it doesn't.
It doesn't.
No.
So we are included in that law?
So what you're included in is the ability to get a job.
Well, am I included in the law that the government will give subsidies to this company for hiring a non-minority?
Nope, you are not included in the law for the subsidy.
So I am excluded.
No.
How am I not included, but I'm not excluded?
Because it is a diversity inclusion requirement on the basis of inclusion, not exclusion. The point is that it's not designed for you, it's designed for minorities. And because minorities have been relatively excluded from white society, sometimes it helps to get the ball rolling to allow for subsidies.
I mean, that might have been the case in the States there, but I don't think that was here. Like I said,
I don't know what it is in Canada. To be fair, I don't know what it is in Canada. Like,
yeah, I mean, before, like
that's definitely the case in the United States.
You saw minorities working at these places before, and it was roughly like, 20%, because 80% of the city they live in is white. So that would make sense that it would correlate that, you have roughly about 20%. But now it's like nearly 100% minorities.
Okay.
Not kidding. Like,
I mean, maybe in
100%.
your relative vicinity, that might be the case, but that's not the case for the entirety of Canada, nor is it the case in Saskatchewan. We pulled up the relevant statistics.
Okay, so like Tim Hortons, you just got to know how to ring stuff in a till and pour.
Do you have
coffee,
a particular
right?
actor, like a particular legislation that you just really don't like?
Well, I think it's unequal, which I think equality is the way to solve problems.
Well, I agree, but if the beginning stepping stones are unequal, my goal is to make those beginning stepping stones more equal.
But here, I don't think it was unequal before. They just
so Canada just decided to do that just because, like, there was no inequality, right? And then Canada just on a whim decided to do that, and now it's like, why did the Liberals ruin society?
I don't even know if it was the Liberals who made that
law. Or I don't know what maybe that was a little disingenuous. Let me tone it down. Well, I'll try again. So why would they make a law for that if there was no reason to do it? You said sorry, go ahead.
There could be many reasons for them to make a law like that.
Like what?
Like the government just helping out businesses and just burning money to make employees cheaper for them and using our tax dollars to do it.
Well, I get how a subsidy works, but my question is not whether or not the subsidy works. The point is why we have the subsidy to begin with. Obviously, it's not to burn tax dollars. If it was just burning tax dollars, they would just go burn it. It'd be a lot easier.
Yeah, like the We Charity, giving tax dollars to a charity. Like we nearly gave $900 million to the We Charity. Why would the government be giving this money to this specific charity? And it's tax dollars. Like, that charity doesn't help everyone in Canada.
You know the Employment Equity Act?
No.
It's an act that federally regulates employers to implement employment equity by removing barriers to the full participation of 4 designated groups: women, Indigenous peoples, persons with disabilities, and members of visible minorities. This legislation applies to federal government departments and agencies, crown corporations, as well as private sector employers that are federally regulated, such as banks, telecommunications, and transportation companies. So the whole point of this is to promote diversity and inclusion within the public sector, and that includes initiatives of the programs to support recruitment, retention, and advancement of individuals from underrepresented groups. So they're already acknowledging there's an underrepresentation of these people. And you're saying that now there is an over-representation, but the numbers don't show that. So explain to me how you're getting to this point.
I don't know how the numbers don't show that when I go to these places and there's pretty much no white people working there.
Sure. I'm not disagreeing with that. If that is in fact the case, right, that would be a problem within your area, not the entirety of Saskatchewan, nor would it be for the entirety of Canada, right? Because the numbers don't argue in your favor here.
I mean, the numbers that you posted, like, this is why I said you should try to find the employment rates, not the unemployment rates, because the unemployment rates could be different reasons for this unemployment.
If you know the unemployment rate, you would know the employment rate.
If these people are not employed because they're not looking for a job, then this doesn't count.
Let's say 5% of people are unemployed. Let's say 5% of people are unemployed. How many people are employed?
95%.
Thank you. So we know the number.
Now my question, can I ask my question now? Can I ask my question now?
Yes.
Okay. If people don't apply for a job, do they get a job?
No. Generally not. Unless, of course, there could be a little bit of nepotism in there.
Could there be unemployed people that are just not applying?
Sure.
So going off the unemployment rate isn't necessarily the best way to show the statistics. Showing the employment rates would be the best way to go about it.
It doesn't matter. I mean, we can pull it up.
Well, it does. I'm pointing out that this does matter because if they're not applying, then they could still be unemployed.
Well, hold on. So an unemployment rate would be like, okay, they're currently unemployed, but they're looking, right? Not like people who just fell out of the workforce. You're aware of that, right? Like they don't count people who are, let's say, retired, for instance.
Yeah, I'm not talking about retired people. I'm talking about people who maybe didn't even apply at all.
So what's your argument? Are you saying they're just like lazy and they got to like pull themselves up in their bootstrap? And that, fuck this diversity inclusion requirement? What is your argument?
I'm saying that the statistic and the way you're pulling it is not accurate. Because all
right, well, I provided statistics. Do you have anything? I pulled up the national average, which is 5.5%, and I pulled up the minority employment rate, not unemployment rate, and I said that it's about 70. I think it was 70.6%. Okay, so that would mean that I think it was 70.5%. So that would mean 29.5 are unemployed, which means that there would be more by capita, more minorities that are unemployed than white people. Because it's higher than the average. And who is most people? White people, right?
Yeah, in my city, it's like 80%.
Okay. That's higher. The employment, that would be higher than black people.
What's the employment of white people again?
You said it was 80%.
No, I said the population of my city is 80% white.
Okay, so if the national average is 5% and most people there are white, that would mean the employment rate is a lot lower for white people than it is for black people.
But you're saying that my eyes are lying to me when you say that most people are white and I go in there and they're mostly not white.
I'm saying you can't use your personal incredulity where you look at, let's say, 2, 3, 5 stores where it's like we're looking at the entirety of Saskatchewan. This is 2 completely different numbers. I could easily, dude, bro, last time I went to my fucking barber shop over downtown, bro, it was nothing but black people. And I was like, why don't you hire white people?
Okay, well, the only thing I can do is actually go and get you a video.
Bro, let me go get the camera of the downtown barber shop. And bro, I'm going to show you it's a store of nothing but black people, bro.
No, I'm going to go to every Tim Hortons in Regina and every Walmart in Regina and lots of the businesses in Regina. And
also, aren't those all low-end jobs?
Yeah.
Why do you want that?
Really require, because those are the entry-level jobs for people.
How old are you?
I'm 46.
Why are you getting an entry-level job?
Because that's the only jobs I'm able to get.
All right.
Why are entry level jobs not significant? Do you think
No,
they
no.
don't matter?
I mean, you have to develop a skill.
Yeah,
You have to
and
develop
it
a
doesn't
skill.
take any skill to pour a coffee or type something in a
That's
cash
correct.
register.
That's correct. But like,
That's why
you
these
probably
people,
have skill
that's
in a
why
particular
at these
subject.
jobs, they will take the government subsidy because it doesn't take much skill to do this. You don't need to hire by skill. You
Yeah.
hire for profit.
Yep.
And you get more profit when you
Yep.
get government subsidies for hiring these people.
Okay. So this provides opportunity for
and
minorities.
Now you said entry-level jobs are good to build a skill, right? To at least
Sure.
build up your resume, right?
Okay.
So if they're only hiring minorities for all these entry-level jobs, how are any of the non-minorities going to get any credit on their resume for having a job?
Well, the problem is that, I mean, you probably have a lot more skills than an 18-year-old, don't you think? You probably have more skills than I do.
Possibly.
So why are
I
you
know how to
going
build
for
houses.
entry-level jobs?
Because that's
That-
the only
that job's
ones
not
that
for
were
you.
Available.
What?
The construction companies and stuff
Bro,
aren't hiring
after this,
right now.
I want, after this, right, what I want you to do is I want you to send me your resume. All right? I'm going to show you the true, tried, guaranteed way to get a job. Not even kidding. I will show you the ways. I've never been without a job for more than 3 weeks.
I used to be like that for me. In fact, I never even had to make resumes before. I just had a friend that was like, hey, we got a job for you. But it's not like that anymore.
You got to get,
And when
you have to have a
when
resume.
I actually had to go out and apply for a job, I just went and applied at the Tim Hortons. Right away they grabbed
homie,
me.
you got to get a resume.
Well, I have a resume.
Okay. Send me your resume and I will
Because a
help
while
you.
ago, I was going and applying for jobs.
I think I
because
can
needed to get a
legitimately,
job.
unironically get you a job. I don't think it's black people taking all the jobs. I think we just need to look at your resume,
Oh
like
my God,
unironically.
dude. You do realize that there's more than just black people or minorities, right?
Yes, I'm aware of that. Yes.
Then just say minority. Don't say just black people.
Okay, fine. Minorities. It doesn't matter. The point is that I feel like I can get you a job. It's not the minorities. In fact, I'm almost confident. I'm pretty confident.
Okay. I want you to get me a job at Tim Hortons.
You want me to get you a job? You're 46. Why are you applying for a shitty
what?
job?
I even have experience there.
No, stop. Then wait. Okay, then apply for a manager position.
No, any job there.
What? No, you're
Get me any job at
46.
Tim Hortons.
They want you doing something more complex.
You said you could get me a job. Can you get me a job at Tim Hortons?
Sure.
Okay, we're gonna do it.
Okay. I'll get your resume. Send me your resume, and we're gonna get you that job at Tim Hortons.
Okay.
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 Do you have a particular title you're looking for?
Nope.
All right, bro. Well, I think I can do it. I think I could.
We'll see.
I mean, it's going to require some work on your end, obviously, but yeah, I think I could get it. All right.
Well,
You want
I
to know
think-
the technique? I'll tell you the technique. Are you ready?
Sure.
First, we go over your resume like a fine-toothed comb, right? We need to make sure it's pristine, perfect, right? No errors, consistent. It touches base. It is targeting very, very specifically the job that you are looking for, right? Very, very important, very attentive. You're not listing every skill. You're listing the skills that are specific to that job. All right, that's number one. Now that you've tailored your resume. Number two, you start applying by sending your resume. You know, you can do Monster or, through whatever sign up site that they have, right? And then here's what you do, right? Soon as you're done with that, as soon as you've already applied and sent your resume, you have an account, right? You have an email account that's Exchange, specifically an Exchange email. You can get a free one by going to office.com and the reason why I'm telling you Exchange email is because the exchange email will allow you to perfectly synchronize it with your phone, calendar, everything, tasks, everything. It's insane. It's very, very helpful, right? So what you end up doing is that after you've applied, you take down a phone number and who to follow up with 2 days after you have applied. Okay. And then when 2 days happen, right? One day, second day passes, you have a reminder on your phone popping up saying, hey, call these people. It's been 2 days. You call them. You say, hi, I've applied for this XYZ position and I'm really excited. I just want to start working. And so then they say, and you could say that I want to get an interview, a potential interview. And so normally what they're going to say is, well, we're still reviewing applications. We don't, but we're glad that you called, blah, blah, blah. And then you hang up, right? And then you take that calendar item of that job you applied for and you move it another 2 days. Why you do this? You are now the follow-up king. Ain't nobody following up like you. Everybody who wants that job didn't follow up. Your ass is following up. Okay? You follow up. And then in those 2 days, you call back and you say, hey, just following up. I was wondering if I could schedule an interview. And they may say that we're reviewing, or sorry, you have not been selected. No big deal. You can drop it. If they say you've not been selected, stop calling them. But if they say they're still reviewing, another 2 days, baby. And you don't stop doing this. This isn't harassment. You're calling once every 2 days, right? But it is getting enough to where they have this stack of resumes and they know one freaking dude that won't stop freaking calling. And that one dude, they'll actually give you that interview. They'll be like, all right, we got to consider this guy because they're obviously they keep on calling. That's how you get a job.